What's up, everyone? This is the year in wrestling 1990 part 3. This is the final video I will be doing on 1990. So, before I talk about the October Saturday night's main event, I'm going to talk about some news events that happened in the fall of 90 and at the end of the year in 1990. Tully Blanchard announced his retirement from wrestling to devote his life to the ministry. In September of 1990, Tully Blanchard announced his retirement from wrestling, and it didn't last that long. He returned in 1994, worked in WCW's Slamboree Legends Reunion pay-per-view against Terry Funk, one match only, one night only, and he returned to ECW. He was never there before. So he appeared in ECW in 94, and he worked a program with Shane Douglas, he was the ECW champion at the time, was Shane Douglas. Tully Blanchard probably wrestled 2 matches in ECW against Shane Douglas for the ECW world title. So he did, I consider that a retirement, because he only returned and worked like 3 matches in 94, and he has never wrestled since. September 1st, 1990, Eddie Gilbert, driving his brother's car, Doug Gilbert's car, attempted to run down Jerry the King Lawler during a broadcast of the USWA Championship Wrestling. Lawler is trying to save UWF. Lawler was trying to save USWA Booker. Never heard of the guy. Eddie Marling. Eddie Gilbert was fired. I guess it was a storyline. Eddie Gilbert was fired. So he I believe he hit Jerry Lawler with his brother's car. Lawler escapes the incident with just a bruised hip. October 6th, 1990, Jesse Ventura, former WWF announcer / wrestler Jesse the Body Ventura, is elected mayor of Brooklyn Park, Minnesota, defeating some other politician. So Jesse Ventura becomes a mayor of Brooklyn Park, Minnesota. Now I'm going to talk about Saturday night's main event that happened in October of 1990. You had, I believe, is the first match on the show, Ultimate Warrior, the WWF champion at the time, teaming with the Road Warriors, the Legion of Doom, in a 6-man tag against the Demolition, the team of Axe, Smash, and Crush. So that was a very good, it was pretty damn short, could have been longer, but I thought it was a really good 6-man tag match to kick off a Saturday night's main event. I mean, the Road Warriors, LOD, teaming with Ultimate Warrior was awesome to see. And I was always a fan of Demolition. I was not a fan of Crush and Demolition, but he was there, and basically Demolition was a 3-man team for the rest of 1990. In 91, Axe left WWF. I believe he got sick, so he couldn't team with Smash, so they had Crush and Smash become Demolition in 91. I don't know the other matches that happened on the October 90 Saturday night's main event. It's on the network if you want to check it out, if you have the network. I just thought I'd mention Ultimate Warrior and LOD teaming up against Demolition because that was a star-studded matchup. Up next, I'll talk about WCW Halloween Havoc 1990 pay-per-view event from Chicago. It was from Chicago, Illinois. First match on the pay-per-view was Tommy Rich and Ricky Morton. One half of the Rock and Roll Express, his partner Robert Gibson, was injured with a knee injury. So Ricky Morton was teaming with Tommy Rich, and they took on the Midnight Express. And Tommy Rich and Ricky Morton defeated the Midnight Express to kick off Halloween Havoc. Up next, Terry Taylor defeated Bill Irwin. Pretty boring match. It was boring. Up next, Brad Armstrong defeated J.W. Storm. I don't know who J.W. Storm is, and I don't care to know. He sounds like a jobber. The Master Blasters, a team that Kevin Nash was in. They were really god-awful. I don't even know the name of Kevin Nash's tag team partner, and I don't care to. But the Master Blasters defeated the Southern Boys. The Fabulous Freebirds defeated the Renegade Warriors in a tag match. The Steiner Brothers, U.S. Tag Team Champions, Rick and Scott, the Steiner Brothers, defending against the Nasty Boys. I believe it was a street fight, or it was like a Chicago street fight. I don't think there was any DQs in this match. And it was a brawl. They started the match on the outside, brawling. Nasty Boys were always a brawling type tag team. They were a hardcore type tag team. They didn't wrestle much. And Rick and Scott did some awesome tag team moves in this match. They did Scott lifted one of the Nasty Boys on his shoulders. Rick Steiner did the spot off the top, bulldog headlock off Scott's shoulders. We saw Frankensteiner from Scott Steiner in this match. We saw a lot of suplexes and a lot of Steiner lines from Rick Steiner. So, the Steiners retain their U.S. tag team titles, and they defeated the Nasty Boys. Junkyard Dog defeated Moondog Rex. That match was awful, I'm sure, and should have not been on pay-per-view. World Tag Team Championship on the line. Doom defended against the Four Horsemen team of Ric Flair and Arn Anderson, and this was a very good tag match. It was a double countout. It went 18 minutes. It was a long tag match, and it was a good tag match. And Doom retains their tag titles because of the double countout finish. Stan Hansen defeated U.S. heavyweight champion Lex Luger to win the United States title at Halloween Havoc. This match did not last long. It went 9 minutes, and Stan Hansen was a brawler. He was a big, tough man. I believe he hit a lariat, his finishing move, the lariat, to pin Lex Luger to win the title. I got a lot of respect for Stan Hansen. Lex Luger, I don't got any respect for him because of what he did when Elizabeth passed away and he was with her. I'm sure he was the cause of Elizabeth passing away. Feeding her drinks and drugs. That was wrong. Allegedly, Lex Luger had nothing to do with it, but I believe he did. main event was the world champion Sting's first WCW pay-per-view defending the World Heavyweight Championship. Sting was defending against Sid Vicious. Sid was a member of the Horsemen, and this match was pretty short. It wasn't very good. It went 12 minutes. The finish was pretty stupid. I believe Sid was on the outside of the ring. He walked away, disappeared to the back. And you had Barry Windham come out dressed, Sting left the ringside. I believe he's chased away by the Horsemen. Or he chased the Horsemen away. Barry Windham, dressed as Sting, looked like Sting, had a short flat top, bleached blonde hair. So Barry Windham was dressed as Sting, had the same tights on as Sting. Got in the ring, tried to pick up Sid, body slam him. Basically, he fell on his back. Sid was on top of him. 1, 2, 3. Supposedly, Sid wins the title. But it did not happen. Because the real Sting came back, got in the ring. The referee saw it was the real Sting. I guess the refs restarted the match, and Sting defeated Sid Vicious and retained the World Heavyweight title. Going into Starrcade 90, Sting was still world champ. So that was Halloween Havoc 90. Matches I enjoyed on Halloween Havoc 90 was Sting and Sid was okay. I'm a fan of both those guys, so it was cool to watch. It wasn't a good match, but it was still cool to see them one-on-one. And the Steiners versus the Nasty Boys was very good. I really enjoyed that match. And I enjoyed Doom versus Flair and Arn Anderson. That was a great tag match. And I kind of enjoyed Stan Hansen getting the U.S. title. But it was pretty pointless. Because a month later, 2 months later at Starrcade 90, Lex Luger just beat Stan Hansen back for the U.S. title. Okay, up next, I'll just talk about some of the attendance at the big pay-per-view events in 1990. At WrestleMania 6, there were 67,678 in attendance. Huge crowd. I'm sure it made WWF a ton of money. And with all the merchandise sales also, and ticket sales. Capital Combat from Washington, D.C., WCW pay-per-view drew 7,500. Great American Bash, WCW pay-per-view from Baltimore, drew 10,000. SummerSlam 90 from Philadelphia drew 19,304 people. Big crowd, I'm sure it was a sellout. Halloween Havoc from Chicago drew 8,000 people. Survivor Series 90 from Hartford, Connecticut, drew 16,000 people. And Starrcade 90 from St. Louis drew 6,357. Not very good. Up next, I'll talk about some of the winners of the Pro Wrestling Illustrated Awards from 1990s. I'm going to give you some of the winners. I could find the page where the winners are. What in the world? Where is this page? I know it's in here. Here it is. Pro Wrestling Illustrated winners for 1990. Wrestler of the Year was Sting. Runner-up was The Ultimate Warrior. Tag Team of the Year for 1990 was Rick and Scott Steiner, the Steiner brothers. Runner-up was Demolition. Feud of the Year for 1990 was Ric Flair versus Lex Luger. Runner-up was Hulk Hogan versus Earthquake. They didn't feud that long, but I guess Hogan and Earthquake was runner-up because Earthquake sat on Hogan and crushed him, and Hogan was unconscious before SummerSlam 90. Most popular wrestler of the year for 1990 was Hulk Hogan. Runner-up was Sting. Most hated wrestler of the year 1990 was Earthquake. Runner-up was Ric Flair. But in the fall of 90, for a short time, Ric Flair was babyface at Halloween Havoc 90. At least he was cheered at Halloween Havoc, and he was still a heel, but he was cheered. Most improved wrestler of the year was Paul Roma, and the runner-up was the Tag Team of Doom. Inspirational wrestler of the year for 1990 was Sting. Runner-up was Hulk Hogan. Rookie of the year for 1990 was Steve Austin. A very young Stone Cold Steve Austin. At the time, he was stunning Steve Austin. Runner-up was El Gigante for Rookie of the Year. Manager of the Year for 1990 was Teddy Long. He was the manager of Doom. Runner-up was Bobby Heenan. That's your PWI winners for 1990. Now I'm going to talk about Survivor Series 1990. Here we go. Survivor Series 90 from Hartford, Connecticut, November 22nd, 1990. The Perfect Team. The team of Mr. Perfect and all three members of Demolition, Axe, Smash, and Crush took on the Warriors. The team of the Ultimate Warrior, Kerry Von Erich, Texas Tornado, and the Legion of Doom. Ultimate Warrior pinned Axe to eliminate Axe in 3 minutes. Smash and Crush and the Legion of Doom were all disqualified from the match for brawling outside the ring. Mr. Perfect pinned Kerry Von Erich in 11 minutes. And then Ultimate Warrior pinned Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect, to win and be the sole survivor of his team. So Ultimate Warrior survives the first Survivor Series elimination team match. Next team match, elimination style, was the Dream Team. The team of Dusty Rhodes, the American Dream. Rest in peace, Dusty. Coco Beware, Jim Neidhart, and Bret Hart versus the $1 Million Team of Ted DiBiase, the Honky Tonk Man, and Greg Valentine. And this man made his debut in the WWF, made his pay-per-view debut, The Undertaker. Ted DiBiase got on the mic and said, "Here's my partner, I give you The Undertaker." And he came out, and it was epic. The minute I saw The Undertaker, I knew his gimmick and his character was gonna work for sure. His gimmick and his character, it's a grand slam. Vince McMahon hit a grand slam when he thought of The Undertaker, and he gave the right guy the Undertaker gimmick. He hit a grand slam, and The Undertaker is one of the greatest characters in the history of wrestling and the WWF and the WWE. So Taker, basically, I think he was the last man. I'll read who all got eliminated, but I'm pretty sure Taker took out all 4 guys on the other team and survived. Undertaker pinned Koko Beware in 1 minute, 39 seconds to start the match with a Tombstone Power Driver. Jim Neidhart pinned the Honky Tonk Man. Ted DiBiase then pinned Jim Neidhart after Virgil interfered. Then The Undertaker pinned Dusty Rhodes in 8 minutes with a flying axe handle off the top rope. Then The Undertaker was counted out, so I guess he didn't survive. I forgot about that. The Undertaker was counted out while he was attacking Dusty Rhodes. Bret Hart then pinned Greg Valentine with a small package. Then Ted DiBiase pinned Bret Hart with a small package. So I guess Ted DiBiase survived, and maybe some other members did too. Good Lord, there's a lot to read here. So I'll just try to do it fast. Next team matchup. In the very last match, there was a Survivor Series Sole Survivor match. Ultimate Survival match. Warrior qualified, went in there. Ted DiBiase qualified. Next team was the Vipers. Jake Roberts, Jake the Snake, Jimmy Snuka, Shawn Michaels, and Marty Jannetty, the Rockers, took on Rick Martel, the Warlord, and Hercules and Paul Roma, Power and Glory. Warlord pinned Marty Jannetty following a power slam. Rick Martel pinned Jimmy Snuka. Then Paul Roma pinned Shawn Michaels. Jake the Snake was counted out. So I guess the heel team won. The Hulkamaniacs, the team of Hulk Hogan, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Tugboat, and the Big Boss Man, took on the team of the Natural Disasters, Earthquake, Dino Bravo, Haku, and the Barbarian. Hogan pinned Barbarian following a leg drop, and Hogan survived and went on to the final match in the Ultimate Survival match to team with Ultimate Warrior. Up next you had team match. Teams were Nikolai Volkov, Tito Santana, and the Bushwhackers taking on Sergeant Slaughter, Boris Zukov, some other dude's name I cannot pronounce. I believe it's one of the guys that was in the Orient Express, and Pat Tanaka. I don't know who won his team match. I believe Sergeant Slaughter survived, and he went on to the final Ultimate Survival match. That's all I know. Because this is confusing. They don't even tell you who survived. Ultimate Survival match was Hulk Hogan, Tito Santana, and the Ultimate Warrior. They all qualified. They were on one team. 3 guys, 3 baby faces, against Rick Martel, Paul Roma, Hercules, the Warlord, Ted DiBiase, all on that team. So you had 3, 4, 5 guys against 3. Santana pinned the Warlord in 28 seconds when he hit a flying forearm. Basically, that was his finishing move, and Warlord was gone in 28 seconds. Goodbye, Warlord. Thanks for coming. That's pathetic. You got eliminated in 28 seconds. Then Ted DiBiase pinned Tito Santana. Then Hulk Hogan came in, pinned Paul Roma, following a clothesline. Then Rick Martel was counted out. And Hulk Hogan then pinned Ted DiBiase, following a big boot and a leg drop. Then the Ultimate Warrior pinned Hercules with a flying tackle splash. So basically, Hogan and Ultimate Warrior were the sole survivors of the Ultimate Survival match, and they ended Survivor Series 90 together in the ring, posing and holding each other's hands up in victory. Now I'm going to talk about Starrcade 1990 from WCW. The last pay-per-view of the year for WCW was Starrcade. First match of Starrcade 90. It's from St. Louis. Bobby Eaton was a singles wrestler now. Midnight Express was gone. Stan Lane and Jim Cornette got fed up and quit WCW because they hated that, what's his name, that jerk off, Jim Herd. They hated the guy. They did not like him. Jim Cornette and Stan Lane's contracts were up. They wanted a bit more money, and Jim Herd was the boss. He was in control of WCW. He basically told Jim Cornette no, and he was going to drop their money, and they were going to be making less if they re-signed. So they said F that, and they quit WCW. Bobby Eaton didn't quit because he had a family, and I'm sure he wanted to stay in WCW to get a paycheck still because he had a young kid and a wife. So Bobby Eaton defeated the Z-Man in the first match. Up next was Michael Wall Street, which was Mike Rotundo, just with a new gimmick. And after Michael Wall Street, he left, became IRS in the WWF. So Michael Wall Street took on Terry Taylor and defeated Terry Taylor. Up next, you had the Skyscrapers defeat the Motor City Madman. The Motor City Madman. Some jobber, big tall guy, looked like a jobber. Looked like an idiot. He was teaming with the Big Cat, and the Skyscrapers beat their ass in a minute and 1 second. Tommy Rich and Ricky Morton again teaming up with Robert Gibson at their side. They defeated the Fabulous Freebirds in 6 minutes 13 seconds. In a bull rope match, Lex Luger defeated U.S. champion Stan Hansen to win the title back at Starrcade. In a street fight for the World Tag Team titles, Doom putting the titles on the line against Arn Anderson and Barry Windham, the Four Horsemen. And Doom wins when Butch Reed pinned Arn Anderson. It says, I'll talk about the Pat O'Connor Memorial International Invitation Tag Team Tournament. Quarterfinals, Rick Steiner and Scott Steiner, representing the United States, defeated Colonel de Klerk, whatever the hell his name is, Colonel de Klerk and Sergeant Kruger, the South African team. So the Steiners defeat the South African team. Up next, tag team tournament continues. Rey Mysterio Sr. and Conan, Mexican team, defeated Norman Smiley and Chris Adams, the Great Britain team. Up next, Team Japan, the Great Muta and Mr. Saito defeat Rip Morgan and Jacko Victory. Jacko Victory was Jack Victory. If you watched ECW 98, 99, 2000, Jack Victory was there. So I guess he was called Jacko. In WCW, that's just stupid. Jacko Victory. Ugh. Dumb as hell. Anyways, Japan team defeated the New Zealand team. And I don't even think Jack Victory was from New Zealand. I think he's from the United States. Up next, I cannot pronounce their names, so the USSR team defeated Team Canada, Danny Johnson and Troy somebody. Semifinals, Steiner Brothers defeat the Mexican team of Conan and Rey Mysterio Sr. in 2 minutes. Japan team, Muta and Saito defeated the USSR team. Finals, and the finals were pretty damn good. It was only 10 minutes, could have went longer, but the tag team finals were the Steiners representing the U.S. taking on Team Japan, the Great Muta and Mr. Saito, and it was a pretty good tag match. It was too short. They did some good stuff in it. Muta was always great. Muta's a legend. Steiners are legends. Mr. Saito was okay. Main event was Sting defending his world title. The World Heavyweight Championship was on the line. Sting defended against the Black Scorpion in a cage. I believe Dick the Bruiser, legend, worked in the AWA. Dick the Bruiser was the guest referee. And Sting defeated the Black Scorpion. And then in 18 minutes. And I don't know if everybody knew during the match, but after the match, the Black Scorpion, Sting pulled one of his masks off in the match, and he had another mask on under his first mask. And then they pulled, at the end of the match, Sting pulled off his last mask, and it was Ric Flair. The Black Scorpion was revealed as Ric Flair playing mind games with Sting. Before Starrcade 90, the Black Scorpion's voice was Ole Anderson. I believe Ole Anderson was the booker at the time in WCW in the fall. So Ole Anderson played the part of the Black Scorpion and played and was the voice of the Black Scorpion was Ole Anderson. Ric Flair was not the original guy that was supposed to play the Black Scorpion. Somebody else was, but they did not want to do business in WCW, so they left. So WCW decided to make Ric Flair the Black Scorpion, and it was a bad idea. It was not a good end to Starrcade. It was not Sting's fault that he was put in a god-awful storyline. when he was world champion, it was not Sting's fault. I don't believe it was. It was WCW's fault, and the idiots that were in control in 1990, like Jim Herd and Ole Anderson, are two idiots. Ole Anderson, he's a legend, but I don't like the guy. He's a bitter old man. I watched a video on YouTube of Ole Anderson being interviewed, and they were asking him, what do you think of Hulk Hogan? And every single legend, this guy brought up to Ole Anderson, what do you think of Hulk Hogan? I think he's shit. And then he said, what do you think of Ric Flair? And then he had the same thing to say, I think he's shit. He's the shits. He should never been over and been a world champ. He had nothing. And he said the same thing about Hogan. And I mean, name after name after name, Ole Anderson called them shit and said they were pieces of crap and shit and they should never got over or whatever. In my opinion, Ole Anderson is an old, jealous, bitter man. And I believe he's a racist too. Teddy Long said, not just on Legends of Wrestling, on the WWE Network, the Legends of Wrestling show, Teddy Long, I heard him say Ole Anderson was a racist. And I believe Teddy Long. And on the WCW DVD, The Rise and Fall of WCW, Teddy Long also said Ole Anderson was the worst booker in the history of this planet. And Ole Anderson was the worst booker in the history of WCW and wrestling. And I agree. Ole Anderson was awful. Maybe when he's in the early 80s, if he was a booking, or if he was in any control of Georgia Championship Wrestling, maybe back in the early 80s, Ole Anderson had some good ideas. But he did not have any good ideas. In 1990, he shouldn't have been in WCW, shouldn't have been getting a paycheck, and he should have not been the booker, period. And then, right before Sting defeated the Black Scorpion, a.k.a. Ric Flair, and pulled his mask off, I mean, the pay-per-view was about to go off the air. They had like 1 or 2 minutes left, and Jim Ross was screaming, saying, we have 2 minutes left of this pay-per-view. Only 2 minutes left. And then they had the door locked with a chain and lock. And horsemen were attacking Sting. And the Steiner brothers run down this ramp with bowl cutters and cut the chain and get in the cage and start beating up the horsemen. And the horsemen run away out of the cage with Ric Flair dressed in the Black Scorpion gear. It was awful. It was a bad main event. It was just Black Scorpion versus Sting for the Starrcade 90 main event did not deliver. It was pretty bad. It was awful. But I don't blame Sting for that. And Ric Flair just did what he was told. They told him they wanted him and they needed him to be the Black Scorpion, so he did it. But the end of Starrcade 90 was not good. And the entire show was not very good. I enjoyed seeing Sting defend the title, but it was not a good match in a cage. Doom and Arn Anderson and Barry Windham was pretty good. Muta and Saito versus the Steiners in the finals was good also. That's about it for Starrcade 90. And this ends my year in wrestling 1990 part 3 video. And, I'll start doing 1991, the year in wrestling 1991 soon. I'll probably have that 1991 part 1 video up probably next Wednesday or Thursday. And next week I will do my TNA Slammiversary predictions video also. It's Friday, everybody. If you watch this, thanks for watching. I'm doing these videos, the Year in Wrestling videos, because I'm a huge fan. And I enjoy talking about the past and what happened in the past. I'm a huge wrestling fan. So that's the only reason I'm doing the Year in Wrestling. That's why I'm doing these videos. Because I enjoy talking about wrestling. Anyways, it's Friday, everybody. Hope you have a great weekend. Tonight, I will be on Twitter, tweeting ROH Best in the World pay-per-view. Check me out on Twitter at TNA WWE Guy. Bye for now, everyone.